Good day, everyone. I will just read this Ncbts Volume 1. The new performance appraisal system for teachers or past is competency based. The professional teacher is not the sage on stage but the guide from the side. This implies that teachers act as facilitators of learning. What theory states that identical instructional environments, methods, and sources may be effective for some learners and ineffective for others because of the differences in the learner's biological and development set of characteristics. The answer is learning style theory. In a school where academic performance is low, which of these alternative actions is less effective? The answer is putting up a functional educational management information system or EMIS. Which of these school practices helps create a positive learning climate, encouraging everyone to participate in accomplishing school goals and objectives? Critical thinking in recent years has become a concern in education not only in the Philippines but also the world over. The cognitive, affective, and psychomotor components are put to focus. Which of the following competencies early distinguish the critical thinker? The answer is offers opinions and judgments. Inclusion is a basic right of every Filipino child as mandated in the Philippine Constitution RA 7277 or the Magna Carta for Disabled Persons and EFA 2015. What fundamental changes have to be operationalized in inclusive education? The answers are philosophy of education, relevant curriculum, mainstreaming, structural organization, and that's it. An individual education plan IEP for a child with disability has to be prepared by the regular and special educators, parents, and medical specialists if available, which is the best reason for providing early intervention program to children with disabilities ages 0 to 3 years old, address developmental lag and prevent acquiring additional disabilities. Then Then, which of this is a teacher's acceptable view of change? The answer is change is an opportunity. Under RA 8190, a bona fide resident or bona fide resident is a teacher who has resided in a particular barangay, municipality, city, or province where the school is located for a period at least 6 months prior to appointment. Who comprise the educational community? The answers parents, students, teachers, school administrators. Which are the desired outcomes of a child friendly school system or a CFSS? Children who are healthy, free from exploitation and violence, children who are aware of their rights and have opportunities to realize them, children who are protected, who protect themselves and develop their full potential. Teacher L gives his students opportunities to be creative because of his conviction that much learning results from the need to express creativity, on which theory is teacher L's conviction anchored. Humanist. The paaralan sa bawat barangay takes its root on in the establishment of one primary school in every municipality as mandated by the Educational Decree 1863. Ang paaralan sa bawat barangay, the Educational Decree 1863, which movie liberalized access to education during the Spanish period, the education of illiterate parents, which was perceived to be contrary to the democratized access to education, the giving of the National College Entrance Examinations or NCEE. Religious and moral education are to the Spanish period as love for work and dignity of labor is or are to the Japanese period. If today we have an oversupply of teachers in the country, in the past we had a shortage. When did have when did we have a shortage of teachers? In 1901, when a highly centralized public school was established, which is not a characteristic of education during the pre-Spanish era. The answer is informal. Which program is the PED's vehicle in mobilizing support from the private and non man siguro ni or on nakabutang ni on government sectors to support programs based on DepEd's assistant packages, adapt a school program, which DepEd's test two out of school youths and adults take to enable to enroll in college if they pass it. The answer is accreditation and equivalency test. The then National College Entrance Examination or NCEE was abolished because it was perceived to be against the democratization of access to education. The following are characteristics of a child-friendly school except exclusive. Can parents pass on their duty to educate their children to school, especially if they are illiterate? No, parents have the primary duty to educate their children. We could be an appropriate research approach. What could be an appropriate research approach to determine the factors that contribute to school effectiveness? The answer is establish benchmarks from a case study of a school that is consistently topping the national examinations. Accreditation programs are among the ways of ensuring quality in education. The most important criterion in accreditation is assessment based on the school's philosophy, mission, vision, resources, and student achievement. You ask what unsay tuyo? Spartan education provided much attention and time for the art of war and the training of soldier citizens. Hence, the Spartan curricula considered of military exercises and services for the state. Athenian education, on the other hand, stressed individual excellence, hence aimed to provide moral training and emphasize virtues to develop personality. Pangutan aga ni unsay tuyo. The following are moves of the government to democratize access to education except one, which is the exception in service training for teachers. Okay, wait. Uy, mag-CR, babalo, intang magsuga. Asa na gani ko? Asa na gani ko? Okay, the following are moves of the government. Tira na ko. Okay, the following are moves of the government to democratize access to education except one, which is the exception in service training for teachers. Accrediting the madrasa is government's move towards democratizing access to education, with equitable access to basic education in mind, which does not belong to the group. The answer is establishment of state colleges, which is a correct statement on service contracting scheme. It increases access to education, which one works against the improvement of quality education. School working in isolation from community and industry. From the Households and School Matching Survey, or HSMS, conducted in 1982, it was found out that school factors have less influence on learning when compared to the community and home backgrounds variables, which is one implication of this finding. The school needs to strengthen its partnership with parents and community, which one is an alternative learning delivery system where an itinerant teacher with the use of modules teacher teaches a small group of pupils for a week, then moves to another community the next week. Mobile teacher. The alternative learning delivery system used throughout the country has the following characteristics, except they blank stick to traditional schooling. A student passes a book report poorly written but ornately presented in a folder to make up for the poor quality of the book report content. Which practice does this point to? Forma over substance, which refers to the trait of practicing conflicting values in different venues and with different social groups. Split personality. After having been humiliated by teacher A, student B evaluates the teacher very poorly despite teacher A's good teaching performance. Which trait is illustrated by student B's behavior? Personalism. Student C says, "Bahala na," and the brave and braves the storm for a test. In this situation, which is expressed by the student's "Bahala na," willingness to take risks. A father used to tell her daughter, "You are a woman, you are meant for the home, and for you, going to school is not necessary." Is the father correct? No, there is such a thing as gender equality in education. It is said that some private school employ teachers without license. Is that in accordance with the Philippines Teachers Professionalization Act? No, the license as a requirement for teaching applies to teachers in both public and private schools. Back to Basics movement was launched by the then DEX, now DepEd, not only to upgrade pupil achievement but also to emphasize the importance of the three R's. Study is needed, is ended hard work, essentialism. Strike the iron while it's hot, which philosophy governs your action? Essentialism. Sorry, progressivism. Strike the iron while it's hot, which philosophy governs your action? Progressivism. Ang study is ended hard work. Essentialism. Specialization is knowing more and more about less and less. Then it is better to be generalist, claims teacher Lani. On which philosophy does teacher Lani lean? Specialization is knowing one and more about less and less. Perennialism, which a case of child abuse is filled filed by parents by parents, what law is applied within a case of child abuse is filed by parents? parents what law is applied. Republic Act 7610. 7610. Upon prior consent of parents and school authorities, religion may be taught in Philippine schools within regular class hours. That the quality of Philippine education is declining, what so the, that the quality of Philippine education is declining was the result of a study by EDCOM which recommended to professionalize teachers and teaching. The Early Childhood Care and Development Act provides for the promotion of the rights of children for survival and development. Which of the following statements is not among its objectives? Assist the LGUs and their endeavor to prepare the child for adulthood. The basic policy of education of 1982 or Batas Pambansa bilang 232 is to establish and maintain a complete, adequate and integrated system of education relevant to the goals of national development. Which of the following is not covered by this act? Sunday schools. Study is ended hard work, essentialism, strike the iron while it is hot, which philosophy governs your actions, progressivism, Jerome Bronner's idea that interest in the material being learned is the best stimulus for learning. This is in support of our efforts to develop our students' intrinsic motivation. According to the 1987 Constitution, when should religion be taught to children in public elementary and high school within regular class hour? The lesson is on the pros and cons of capital punishment. Mr. Milan wants to do high level of thinking and to develop a view of capital punishment from different perspectives. Which technique will be the most appropriate? Panel discussion. To teach the democratic to teach the democratic process to the pupils, Biag Elementary School decided that the election of class officers shall be patterned after the local election. There were qualifications set for candidates, limited period for campaign and rules for posting campaign materials, etc. Simulation. Yun, naglangan-langan. Napakalira pa yan. Iba lang yan. Here is a test item. From the data presented in the table, form generalizations that are supported by the data. Under what type of question does this item fall? The answer is synthesis. The improvement of basic education should be the top priority of the Philippine government. Defend or refuse this position. Under what type of question does this item fall? Evaluative. Evaluative. Teacher Ben, an experienced teacher, does daily review of past lesson. Why? To provide his pupils with a sense of wholeness and continuity. Teacher Alvin wants to teach the class the rules in playing basketball. Which method is most appropriate? Direct instruction. Do you want to teach you want to teach concepts, patterns and abstractions? Which method is most appropriate? Indirect instruction. Direct instruction is for facts, rules, and actions, as indirect instructions is for. So, direct instructions is for facts. Rules and actions is indirect, as indirect instructions is for concepts, patterns, and abstractions. You want sa mo kaning hayag kay atong brightness eh. You want to teach concepts, patterns, and abstractions. Which method is most appropriate? Indirect instruction. Direct instruction is for facts, rules. Okay, balik na siya. Basta. Direct instruction is for facts, rules, and actions, as indirect instruction is for concepts, patterns, and abstractions. Ako ra din ibalik og basa. You want to have a small group discussion in your class. Which topics will be best for group discussions? Those topics where a high degree of consensus among students does not yet exist. Though. Awesome. You want to have a small group discussion in your class. Topics will be best for group discussion? Those topics where a high degree of consensus among students does not yet exist, which holds true of competency-based instruction. Criterion referenced. You combine several subject areas in order to focus on single, a concept for interdisciplinary teaching. Which strategy did you use? Thematic instruction. Teacher Beda is the teacher of English as a second language. She uses vocabulary cards, fill in the blank, fill in the blank sentences, dialogues, dictation, and writing exercises in teaching a lesson about grocery shopping. Based on this information, which of the following is a valid conclusion? The teacher is teaching in a variety of ways because not all students learn in the same manner. Teacher Marion developed a card game in which pupils match different fractions. The shapes contained within each card were the same, while the number of parts shaded as different. Which concept or process was taught by this activity? Equivalent fractions. Teacher Elena discussed how electricity flows through wires and generates the electric charge. Then she gave the wires, bulbs, switches, and dry cells and told the class to create a circuit that will increase the brightness of each bulb. Which one best describes the approach used? It helps students apply scientific method. Having a mock presidential election complete with debates, discussion of issues, and voting teaches students the decision-making process. What should a teacher do for students in his or her students' instruction? Na? His Hello? What should a teacher do for students in his or her who are not on an expected grade level? Give them materials on their level and let them work at a pace that is reasonable for them, trying to bring them up to a grade level. Teacher Bong likes to concretize the abstract concept of an atom. He came up with concrete presentation of the atom by using wires and plastic balls. How would you classify Teacher Bong's visual aid model? Teacher Rodell likes to show how the launching of spaceships takes place. Of the following materials available, which is most fit mock-up? In your attempt to develop creative thinking skills, you want to test fluency of ideas. Which activity will be most appropriate? List animals covered with hair in 1 minute. The incorporation of the content materials in language lesson is called content-based instruction, which is in accordance with the witness lagi witness mo. Basta mo na siya witness. Witness principle of classroom management of Kunin. Teacher is fully aware of what is happening in his classroom, which practice helps the teacher maximize time for instruction, minimize discipline time. A sound advice for classroom manager is nip the problem in the bud. What does this mean? Be proactive in management approach. Which seating arrangement has been proven to be effective for learning, flexible to suit varied activities. Which does a pupil use when he signs a concept to a familiar tune in order to help himself commit the concept memory? Piggyback, piggyback song. To show cause and effect relationships for picture smart pupils, which works graphic organizer. If you like to know value preferences of your students, which can help rank ordering, which activity is good for organizing and summarizing PowerPoint presentation for a discussion of a topic from various perspectives, it is best to hold a panel discussion. For which can the Venn diagram be used? Comparison, which is a graphic presentation of numerical data. Histogram, graphic presentation of numerical data. Histogram. You want to present the characteristics, features of a constructivist approach. Which should you use? Attribute, will. If you want to gather ideas from several sources, which one should you organize? Panel discussion. Which technique is an application of B.F. Skinner's theory on operant conditioning, computer assisted instruction? The following promote lesson elaboration through student interaction except demonstration, which is which is or are characteristics feature of the K to 12 curriculum. Constructive, integrative, learner centered to cater to the linguistic competencies of students. Which of these activities must be utilized? Writing Arab. Writing type of learner verbally describes what he or she learns by observing another person. Auditory. Why do we need to establish classroom routines to ensure order and discipline? There are five S in disciplining children, which is the correct order of this approach. Stare, silence, separate him, see him personally, seek others' help. The five S in disciplining children: stare, silence, separate him, see him personally, seek others' help. There is a statement that says no amount of good instruction will come out without good classroom management. Which of the following best explains this statement? There must be classroom management for instruction to yield good outcomes or results. To create order and discipline in the class, various classroom management techniques are employed by teachers, which is a proactive technique, reinforcing good work by giving praiseworthy comments. Teacher B requested an older, brighter, and more cooperative member in a group to teach the other members what is her rationale in employing this methodology. The tutor is better equipped and close to the rest. Lessons depicting historical events like Declaration of Independence on June 12 in Rizal. Rizal's execution at Luneta can best be thought through which of these methodologies, role playing. How can a teacher enhance his or her questioning technique for an effective teacher student interaction? Allow sufficient think time, at least 7 to 10 seconds. Teacher B wanted her students to learn the electoral process in action, so they went They went on to elect the president, vice president, 12 senators, and 20 congressmen. They come up with the qualifications of candidates, manner of campaigning, and canvassing of votes. This activity is described as a copy of real event which can stimulate real life situations. The students learn from contrived experiences. A report from Pag-asa showed an increasing trend in daily temperature from January to March. How can students best present such trend to the class? Bar graph. In a biology class, the students were asked to trace their own family's closest relatives, starting from their great grandparents. They constructed a starting couple and added several branches to indicate the offsprings up to second or third generations. Which did they construct? Family tree. To discipline unruly students, Teacher H always tells his students, remember, I am the person in authority here. I have the power to pass or fail you. Do you agree with Teacher H reference to power? No, his authority is not meant to be used to pass or fail students, which is not a characteristic of a divergent question, recall oriented. Which conclusions can you draw from the case involving a taxi driver and three members of the VFA team? Is an example of which type of question? Synthesizing. When you ask students to explain why they agree or disagree with a statement, you are asking them to evaluate. Here's a lesson objective. To relate to class at least one insight from the film, pay it forward. Under which domains of the of objective will this fall? Cognitive and affective. In lesson planning, it is advisable to have a mental picture on how you are going to evaluate your students' learning as you write your lesson objectives. Yes, because this will ensure valid evaluation tools since the lesson objectives are the basis for evaluation on which educational philosophy is the thought that the teacher is the sole authority in her field of specialized anchored essentialism. Present trends and current issues of national and international interest are discussed in the curriculum, which educational philosophy advocates this. Reconstructionism. You want to teach democracy in school government by patterning procedures of the local and national elections. Which teaching will you use? Simulation. When a student is asked to draw conclusion from a group of given data that cognitive domain is involved. Synthesis. The professional role of teachers is changed from the sage on the stage to guide from the side. This implies that teachers must act more as facilitators of learning. Okay, that's it. God bless and goodbye. Good luck sa mga mag-let. Good luck to the let takers on March 19, 2023. God bless always.